Okay, so I finally decided that I'm just going to record this as an audio, and I don't think I need visuals for anything that I'm trying to say. My face has nothing to do with it. And on top of that, I'm not in my usual filming space right now. I had a fall, a really bad fall, and I'm going to talk about it at the end of the video. And I feel like I've just been wasting time trying to heal and then also make everything look right. There's so much noise everywhere, the lighting is horrible, and nothing feels right when I try to make a video with my face in it. I'm just not in the position to, pay attention to all of that, and I just realized that there is no use of all of that anyway. There's no point in forcing a visual component, especially if it's not good, and also when it's not necessary. So I'm just gonna stick to audio for this. You can just put it on the background and listen, and yeah, the whole point anyway is to actually hear what I'm saying. And visuals can also be distracting sometimes, yeah, so whatever, let's get into it. So today I want to talk about how I think emptiness is the end. I don't mean it's the final destination. I think it's the end in the sense that it's also the beginning of life. No matter what life has given me or whatever I've gone through, it always comes back to the same question, which is, what next? I work towards something, let's say good grades, then get into a good college. And then the next step, which is good grades in college, and you get a good internship, you get a job, and then you get out of college, you get a good job, and then you do this, blah, blah, you get married, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not thinking about marriage and everything right now, but when you just reach it, when you reach the step that you're so eagerly waiting for, it just feels empty. Everything's just empty. And it makes me think how there's nothing really shaping life unless you're constantly forcing something to happen. You're constantly giving meaning to it, to constantly chase a feeling. It's a constant cycle. It's a vicious cycle that never ends. And when you stop doing that, when you stop trying and forcing to create an emotion, the baseline just becomes emptiness. So, think about when you want something so badly, like when you were a teenager and you wanted your first phone and you finally get it. At first you're elated, you're excited, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. But then very quickly it becomes nothing. It's just there. You don't think about that phone twice in a day. You never think about it. And I think I'm starting to realize everything in life works the same way. No matter what you achieve, it does not stay. And the more you try to hold on to it, the more it slips away. And the weirdest part is that you don't even want to hold on to it. When you get it, you're just over it. It's almost like we have the desire to not have any desires. Not that we want to fulfill our desires. We want to get rid of all our desires. So my question is, what is it all for then? Because it doesn't actually satisfy you. And maybe nothing can satisfy you. Because the thing you're trying to satisfy isn't even real. You're trying to satisfy this idea of a self, this identity. But what is identity? And when I was reading this book, I'm going to link the book in the description. It's about Buddhism. And Buddhists believe in the idea that you don't even exist. It's also there in Hindu philosophy. And basically, this idea that you so very want to cling to, it's just made of memories and emotions and experiences that are all temporary. And we just put it all in a bundle and call that I or me or the self. But it's just a bundle of impressions. There is nothing that's actually fixed in the self. So if there is no self, then every attempt to fulfill yourself is also kind of pointless. You see what I'm saying? Because who are you trying to fulfill? What exactly are you trying to fulfill when there is nothing? I feel like that's the reason I also feel so conflicted at times. Some days I want to create, share, and be seen, be successful, be so many things. I have so many hobbies, and there are times when I want the whole world to get something out of it. I want to benefit people. And then there are other days that I just want to disappear. That disappearing isn't that I just want to get away. It's more like it's so exhausting because I don't want to prove anything to anybody. I really don't care. And I have reached this point in life where I don't need validation to feel anything. I understand that everything comes from me, and this me is this puzzled whatever I am, so I have so much to figure out about my own mind that I can't give any time of the day to anybody else. So then I start wondering, which one is me? Which one? If a part of me wants to be all of this and then there's some part of me that wants to be nothing, which one is truly me? Which desire is real? And recently I've been contemplating this a lot. And with the help of some research, maybe, I don't know, I've also been reading the Bhagavad Gita. And I think maybe none of them are. Maybe no thought is actually me. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that you ought to detach yourself from your actions. Your actions aren't you. Your feelings aren't you. So I think basically it says that you do what you ought to do, but your actions don't need to define who you are. You do what's meant to be done in the moment. I think Osho also said something like that. There shouldn't be any shoulds or should nots. I need to look back into that. But yeah, so nothing is really you in the way you think it is. And that leads to the bigger question, who am I? And honestly, I don't know, maybe I'm nobody. Maybe I just am and then I won't be. Just like everybody else that has come before us and so many more souls that will come after. This is why, coming back to my point, I think boredom or emptiness is actually important, because at some point, no matter what you do or achieve, you will feel it. You will feel it. You start questioning everything. You start asking the questions you've been avoiding. And I feel like most of life is just avoiding. You purposely keep on doing fruitless, just trivial stuff, trivial in the grand scheme of things, that don't necessarily add anything to the actual goal of this life. Yeah, maybe, I don't think the goal of life would be to earn a living. I'm sure you don't think so as well. So I think when you start asking the questions you've been avoiding, that's when life can really begin. Not even the right questions, the real questions that actually matter to you. And I'm not gonna say that the questions that help you discover yourself, because everyone's different, because this is all about unlearning everything you think you are. This is about stripping all of that back to being nothing and getting closer to something more original, raw, something that isn't constructed by our senses. This is what Carl Jung calls the collective unconsciousness. And, in the Vedanta and Upanishads and Hindu philosophy, it's called the Brahman, the underlying consciousness that is the source of everything, that has always existed and that will always exist. So then the question becomes, what is that? Who is that, and how do I get to know that? And you start asking the questions that may take you to your real self. And I don't know if there's a clear answer ever. And I feel like maybe the point of life might be to get closer to that answer. And I'm actually going to make a video on this, on reincarnation and the idea of souls being reborn, but not in the way that we think. I've been thinking about that idea as well, connected to this, and I'm going to make another video about it. But yeah, so I feel like the point of life might be to get closer to that being, and I'm going to call it God here, because it is something bigger than what we are, even though we are a part of it. But God, I don't mean it in a religious way. I hope you know that. It's just to understand something that's so huge and omnipresent. I think the word God is quite fitting. Something that has always existed and will always exist. And like the Gita says, there's this beautiful line, and it says that nothing happens in the material world without the instructions of Krishna. And then it says that you are a part of Krishna, because like a part of gold, a piece of gold, a speck of gold is also gold. Like, a drop of water from the ocean is also salty because it's the same water. But I'm referring to the ocean here, the ocean that is God. And maybe that's what life is, to figure how to be one with that God. Maybe. And yeah, I don't know. I've just been struggling a lot to figure out who I really am, and I don't think I am anything. Maybe this will change. Maybe I will figure something out, but I don't think the idea is to figure anything out again. I said, it's all just a distraction. I'm only distracting myself more than I'm figuring anything out. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to talk about today. And yeah, I fell down a rocky road. So I was in the northeast of India, and I went on a little trip with my folks, and we're at the top of this mountain, and I thought I would jog a little bit, and then I kept toppling over and over on the rocks, and I hurt my knee, my face, my elbow, so everything's just bruised, and nothing's broken, but it's bad. I have scars, a couple of scars on my face, like they're pink, like it's not actually healed properly, so it's just, the scab is just like pink. Yeah, and the knee is the worst, so it's been really bad for me. It hasn't been the most productive of the days for me. I've just been in bed trying to film and then losing all the motivation because I'm like, okay, whatever, like, again, it's all useless though. Useless. Who cares about my face? It's just, we want to curate everything thinking something will happen, something will come out of it, will benefit, but just gotta do what you gotta do, If something's not working, if I'm not feeling myself, then I shouldn't be forcing myself to do that. If I can get my point across some other way, like this, just with audio, then why not? What's stopping me? And again, as I said, I don't really, and I shouldn't be I shouldn't be attached to my actions. My work here is done. I wanted to talk about my feelings. I wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And that makes me feel accomplished. Whoever listens to me is not my job. That's not my part to play, you know? That's your part to play. But yeah, I hope this video gave you some clarification or made you more confused about life. I don't know. I think being confused is good. Because we think we've got everything right. We think we know everything. But then we're always still unhappy, and then people are dying, and yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I hope, I hope you feel not alone, because we're all part of the same consciousness, unconsciousness, God, whatever you want to say. So don't ever forget that we're all part of the same, We're all alone and all one at the same time. So I think there's nothing to fear. Yeah, I am gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.